Joining me on the news now is a fellow Nigerian Institute of Industrial Security, Onyekachi Adekoya. He joins me from Abuja. Well, let's begin by exploring the fact that the ex-service chiefs have only been there for a little over 2 years. Recall in January 2021, the former president was under pressure to replace them. Would you say that the timing is right, given the duration that the previous service chiefs have spent?
Right. Thanks, Nifemi, and good afternoon to the viewers. I think that the question of timing was absolutely left to the discretion of the president. If you look at antecedents historically, it would seem that new commanders-in-chief always feel more comfortable with their own appointees. So the considerations would not be, in this instance, how long they have stayed. You've heard the president mention a couple of times his intended reforms. And I would think that the new appointments follow the trajectory of his speak and his thoughts towards shaping Nigeria's security posture towards what he thinks it should be. So I think that, of course, it's an opportune time for him to do that in the early days of his administration. So the timing would be totally up to his own considerations, which we don't have any insights into the reasons why he's taking the actions, but he's well within his rights to make those changes now, particularly if he wants to do things differently. That would be my own reading to the change.
Perhaps for the first time, we're having a national security advisor who is not of the, a ranking officer within the military since 1999. Walk us through the dynamics of this and how that will affect his relationship with the service chiefs.
Yeah, I like the way you said for the first time since 1999, not the first time in our history, because if I remember correctly, there's been two former police officers who were ONSA. Now, we have a bit of a problem, and it's good to see that this administration is listening. We have clamored that the next appointee NSA, which is in this case Nuhu, should not be a retired military officer. I think that our military colleagues have kind of felt like the NSA position is their exclusive reserve. Except when you are in war or at war, you don't need an NSA. In any case, when you look at the National Security Agency's Act, the president could have appointed a carpenter to be NSA if he so pleases. He could have appointed a doctor. He could have appointed maybe an Okada person because the experience, the Constitution does not lay so much emphasis on the experience of the NSA. The Constitution says that the coordinating officer for national security shall be a principal officer in the presidency. And he shall have the responsibility for coordination, not oversighting, because the NIA and the DSS, they answer directly to the president. The DIA answers directly to the Chief of Defense Staff. So all that the NSA has to do, I don't like the word NSA, but let's say the National Security Coordinator, the coordinator NSC, which is what the Constitution recognizes, should just coordinate. He should not be seen. He should not be heard. He's an advisor to the president. He's not a cabinet position. And the powers and responsibilities given to him are just, they're limited to coordination and advising the president and doing every other thing that the president needs him to do. The whole noise we are hearing from the sector of the security industry is that is because the military over time have structured the NSA to be a command holding position. And that's what the military brings into it. If you bring retired commanding officers, senior officers, they want to set up command. The role of the NSA is a personal aid to the president, a coordinating officer, nothing more than that. And I think that no Ribadu He's a fine gentleman, having worked as EFCC chair and a former presidential candidate on the ACN, I think. So he has the clout to sit in that office, remembering also that when he shows up, he will be showing up on the authority of the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There's nobody that has taken an oath of allegiance to the Nigerian state and to the Commander-in-Chief that would not respect an appointee of the Commander-in-Chief. So
Indeed.
I think that the President has made a very good choice and we support it wholeheartedly.
Again, the social media is agog about the geopolitical and religious spread of the appointments, particularly the service chiefs. We have 2 from the northwest, 2 from the southwest, and 1 each from southeast and south-south. I've heard people say the north central is not represented here, but how difficult is it to make this election across board? Because prior to this appointment, there were talks about the possibility of hundreds of military, officers from the Army, Navy, and Air Force being forced to retire depending on the cost from the Nigerian Defense Academy, where the president decides to pick his new service chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this president must be commended. He's taken a very balanced, nuanced approach to everything that has to do with governance. It's only barely 3 weeks, but he's giving good vibes. Permit those of us in the security industry to speak like this. In terms of selection, I don't think that the North Central was completely left out, because if you look at Christopher Gwabin, the Chief of Defense Staff, is from Zango Kataf, Kaduna South. And historically, the Kaduna South, Niger, Abuja people almost share some history together. And he's a Christian. So you can say that Kaduna covers that coming down, covers the North Central, Northwest, Kano Air, the Naval Staff, Enugu, Chief of Defense Intelligence, South-South, ONSA, Northeast, Chief of Army Staff, as you expect the president to do to protect himself and protect his own regime, because the Chief of Army Staff is the most powerful chief amongst all the chiefs, although you have the Chief of Defense Staff who more or less provides governance and strategy oversight of the armed forces. So, I mean, what we've seen is very balanced. IG, Southwest, Chief of Army Staff, Southwest, and then you have that spread. Every other position duly covered for. If you clamor for the North Central, don't forget that the Secretary to the Federal Government,
is
which
from that
is
part
the
of the country.
key office, is from that part that governs and controls everything that has to do with the federal government. So that has been taken care of, and we need to commend the president for his nuanced approach.
Absolutely. Fellow Nigerian Institute of Industrial Security, Onyekachi Adekoya, will continue this conversation in the coming days. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.